Welcome to Bold Guy DIY and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You're loved and appreciated. We wouldn't be here without you, so thank you for all you do for us. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take a ceramic tile, something that looks ordinary and plain, and dress it up as a personalized gift to give to your mother. I really like to personalize ceramic tiles because they have a real substantial quality feel to them when you give it to somebody as a gift. Of course, the minute you grab onto it and you find this textured back that's rough and gritty to your skin, it really takes away from that. So we're going to want to put a backing on it, whether cork or rubber or any other felt maybe, which gives it a much more finished feel, like it's a final product. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques to finish a ceramic tile for a gift. One from basically applying some vinyl, moving up to something a little more complex, and finally incorporating the tile in a bigger project. We better get started. Mother's Day isn't far away. As always, I use my Silhouette Cameo to design the layout and then cut the vinyl. This is going to be a very simple design. It simply says, "I love you, Mom." "I love you" is in black and "Mom" is in pink. I'm just going to cut out close to the letters, weeding out the design. Nice and easy if you cut the vinyl correctly. You can apply some transfer tape. You lay it out first and then put the design on it. I find it makes it a lot easier to prevent bubbling. Just going to trim it nice and tight so it'll be easier to lay out on my tile. Alright, I'm going to grab my tile, lay them out here, and line them up in a way that it'll be nice and square. Using an Omni grid here to make sure the alignment is good and lining up the bottom of the letters. Now I'm going to use the top hinge method in order to transfer the vinyl onto the tile. Now I remove the tape, the reveal, and a nice simple "I love you, Mom" sign. In order to give it that finished feel, we're going to put a cork backing on. I simply trace the edge of the tile with the pen. That'll give me the idea of where to put the contact cement, and then I begin putting contact cement on the back of the tile. I'm going to put a nice even coat. Don't be afraid to put a thick coat on there, as it's going to cause better adhesion to the back of the cork. The cork backing I'm used is actually from an industrial gasket company. It's a rubber cork composite. So it holds together really nice, doesn't flake apart or anything like that, provides a nice soft backing. Now I simply paint within the lines and a nice even coat again with the contact cement, and it's ready to go. I'm going to put that aside, let it cure for 15 minutes. While I'm doing that, I'm going to get started weeding out the design for the next project. Here I'm going to use the vinyl as a mask, so instead of weeding out everything but the design, I'm actually going to weed the design out, and then I'll be able to apply an etching cream in the areas where the design will be. This is a little more time consuming for the weeding process, but it makes it worthwhile when you see the finished product. This is a quote about mothers from Mark Twain. It says, "My mother had a great deal of trouble with me, but I think she enjoyed it." As I finish up here, you can see the finished design, and it's all laid out. Now I'm going to cut down the tile to the size that I need. It's 5 by 14, so I marked those dimensions. Now I'm going to use a tile cutter to trim it down. You use the upstroke to score the tile, and then press down on the handle to crack it. So it's basically a scoring and snapping machine. Once again, lining up the mark that I made, score it, and snap it. It doesn't always work this clean, but it's nice when it does. Now I'm going to apply the transfer tape to the mask, which is a pretty straightforward process. Again, I like to lay the transfer tape down and put the mask on top of it instead of the other way around. Trim off the excess, and it will be ready to stick on the tile. Decided to go center hinge on this one. And of course, if you have letters that are not peeling off properly, just press them down and make sure you get it right. Simply smooth it down, remove your tape and the backing, and the application will be done. The reveal of what the mask looks like applied. Now we're going to use etching cream, and what the etching cream is going to do is going to take the shiny finish off the top of the tile and make the underside of those letters rough. The product we're going to apply to it is going to stick to that rough pattern, and that's what's going to cause the text to show up on the tile. So instead of using a paint or acrylic or anything like that, instead we're going to use the etching cream to strip off something first before we apply a top coat to it. The etching cream, you want to make sure that the coverage is nice and even. If you have thin spots, those are not going to etch as deeply, and sometimes you get a blotchy or spotty looking result. So you want to make sure that you have a nice thick, even coat across all of the letters, and that will give you a nice, clean looking etch. Etching cream needs to sit. It recommends 1 to 3 minutes, but I like to leave it 5 minutes, especially on a ceramic tile, to make sure you get a nice clean etch. So as I finish that up, I'm going to put it aside and apply my first project to the cork backing. Now it's dry to the touch, but when you put it together, it creates a very strong bond, so you have no opportunity to remove it and move it around. So you want to make sure you get it straight on there to begin with, and it's nice and solid. Simply press all the way around, make sure that you get a nice strong seal, and then of course trim around the outside, take the excess off, and you'll have a finished product. You can see nice clean all the way around. I love you, Mom. Now I'm going to wash off the etching cream. That'll stop the etching reaction, and now we'll be able to continue with our project. I took the liberty to put a backing on while I still had it in this stage. You could put it on at the end, it wouldn't really matter. Now that that's done, I'm going to begin putting our product on. Now the product I'm using is something called Rub and Buff. It's a metallic wax finish, and so what it does is actually sticks to these rough areas and bonds to it, so you get a permanent design, permanent pattern on there simply by rubbing it across the surface. The buffing comes from as you rub, it buffs it up, gives it a little bit of luster, and also removes the excess. Now because my tile here is a little bit rough, I left the mask in place because the roughness of a tile will cause it to have a little bit of hazing all around it. Whereas if you use a glossy tile, you can just wipe it right off, and you'll see that ahead. You'll see that a little bit later as I work on another project. But the rough tile, I decided to leave the mask in place, which allows it to not transfer any of that product to the rest of the tile. It'll stay within the letters. Decided to do this in 2 tones, one of them ebony or black and the other one copper. So the words "my mother" and "enjoyed it" will be in copper, and the rest of the letters will be in black. However, I got a little bit too much in the flow, and I just kept going over top of "enjoyed it" with black. But you'll see one of the neat things about this product is you can simply take the copper color afterwards, put it on top, and it will replace or blend with the black that's already there and gives it a copper look after all. Here I switch to the copper. I'm going to do the actual petals of the flower in copper as well, and the stem in black. And then I'm just going to do the words "my mother" and "enjoyed it" in the copper color as well. Now I'm simply going to take some paper towel, and using that I'm going to just rub away the excess, which will also buff the area that the product is applied to, and it will remove the excess onto the paper towel. And as you can actually see, it really removes all of that extra haze around the glossy vinyl. I'm using a different paper towel for the black, just so I'm not going to transfer any of that copper color into the black letters. And now the reveal of what it looks like. For some reason my vinyl, I don't know if it's the etching cream or what, but got a little brittle. So removing it was a little more painful than it should have been. Sometimes these things just take patience. It will take as long as it'll take. As I finish up, you can see what it looks like, and it turned out great. Now I did leave a little bit of an edge there. I went over the border of the vinyl when I was rubbing on the copper. So I'm just gonna go around the edge and actually add kind of an antique finish on the outside. So it'll make it look a little bit aged and worn, and that'll make up for that little bit excess that I left there on the right-hand side. When it's all done, it'll look like I meant to do that. No matter what the project, you'll always find the faults more than anybody looking at it. And there's the finished sign. I'm also going to add a hanger to the back of the tile, so I'm simply going to put it into position, a sawtooth hanger, and trace around it with the craft knife. That's going to cut away the backing and allow me to put the hanger flush right on the back of the tile. Then I'm going to use a Gorilla Glue gel, and that gel builds up a little bit better than the Crazy Glue does, which is very thin. The gel is a little bit thicker and allows it to really get in the pores of that sawtooth hanger, and just hold it in place about a minute, and it'll be nice and stiff. good enough and strong enough to hang on the wall. We've done some tests with this before, and really it does make a really nice solid connection. Finally, for my last project, this is what I'm going to give my wife for Mother's Day this year. I'm going to start with a shadow box, remove the backing, and cover that with vinyl. This backing was very plush, a little more plush than most of the shadow boxes I've used before, so it took quite a bit of effort to scrape it off. But as you can see with the scraper, it started to clean right up, and you're left with the fiberboard backing. Cleaning it up a little bit, wiping it off, and it's ready to put some black matte vinyl on. Simply going to peel off the backing of the vinyl, smooth it down best I can, and now place backing on there, and again smooth it down, get the bubbles out best I can. It is just a foundation for everything else I'm doing, so it doesn't have to be perfect. When everything else is in place, you won't even notice the backing. Trimming off the excess here, again just making sure everything looks good, and now I'm going to lay out my design. Doing white vinyl on the top and red vinyl down the right hand side, and then I'm going to incorporate the tile and again use the Rub and Buff product to create a really nice looking pattern on the tile itself. Here's the reveal, simply says thank you for loving me, and that will be the backing. Now I'm going to use the Rub and Buff product. I've already etched the tile with the pattern. I'm going to actually mix the colors together and create a bit of a hybrid so that all of the color elements are in there on all of the letters. So I just now rub it into a paper towel. This is a nice glossy tile, so it's going to rub off really well. And you can see the message left behind. Thank you for loving me even when I'm broken. Sometimes in our relationships, things don't always go as planned. We've had some ups and downs in the last couple years, and so I really appreciate her loving me and standing by me through it all. Now the fun part, it's not broken enough. One big hit with the hammer and it shattered. Of course, with the backing in place, all the pieces didn't go flying, but it held together nicely and it actually turned out beautifully. Now all I need to do is contact cement it to the backing. Just for this, I'm going to do around the edges, not the entire thing, and then I'm just going to put a little bit in the middle as well. Again, because I traced it, I know where to stay within the lines on the vinyl backing. And yes, contact cement works great on vinyl as well. After letting it dry, it's time to apply it. Again, just gonna make sure it's all lined up properly. Press it evenly all the way around and out of frame, but that's what it looks like put together. Put the backing back into the shadow box. I made this without her, so I didn't get her expertise to line it all up properly, but there's the finished product. Thank you for loving me even when I'm broken. My mother had a great deal of trouble with me, but I think she enjoyed it, and I love you, Mom. There you have it, 3 different ways from the basic, intermediate, and complex. I hope that you found something in there that gives you a little bit of inspiration, whether that's for Mother's Day or any other time of the year. If you enjoy our videos, please keep checking them out. We release new content every week. Please subscribe, ring the bell to be notified of future videos. Leave us a comment below of things you'd like to see or which project you like best. Until next time, in all your DIY projects, don't be afraid to be bolder.